Hey gang, it's KR, King of D&D Homebrew, talking today about tying your encounters to the activities of your players. And I'm going to use a random encounter for this example to show you how it comes about through the activities of your players, and then the circumstances of that encounter itself are shaped again by the activities of the players, because the players in a sandbox homebrew are the protagonists. And they're the antagonists, as I said, and then the audience and whatnot. It's kind of this weird Mobius strip of they're watching the game and playing it and influencing it and reacting to it and all that. And I'm going to use an example that just happened a couple days ago in the Pathfinder campaign that I'm running. And what has happened is the players, through their activities, they did a deal with this clan that's one of these all these clans that operate in my world. They said, hey, these they're called the wild folk have been harassing caravans. We want you to go capture or kill the leader of these people, these brigands, but they're sort of people that have escaped from indentured servitude. Some of them are escaped criminals. Some of them are people who just don't want to live in civilization. So they wanted this area called the Badlands. The players went there, got into a fight, killed this leader, and in revenge, the wild men, when the players left, burned down this resting area called Dagger's Rest, where all the caravans went to get water and stuff, and caused this big disruption of trade. And this clan that got them to do it is now using shipping, and they're charging huge amounts. So they're like, thank you, players. So the players have caused this issue. And in addition, this clan is offering people bounties on the heads of the wild men. And all these groups are going out into this area, Badlands, many of which are not capable of surviving there, but they're desperate for money. They want the heads of these wild people. And I compared this when I was running it to in the scenes in the Jaws, the old movie Jaws, where all the guys are going out to get the shark when the lady has put a big bounty on it and they're all inept and everything. And that's what this is sort of like. So the players, meanwhile, have to go through the Badlands. They have found this body of this ancient priestess, mysteriously preserved. So they've got her in a coffin. They're taking to this Dresden temple. So they're going through this area, right? So a couple of things happen. All these inept, first level or less common folk are wandering through here, and they're getting killed by the deadly creatures that are in this area. And the players come along and they see this scene, and I'm going to dive in here and show you the map. What I use is Fantasy Grounds it's a screen that I have on a tabletop on a live game. But I use that so that we have their tokens on the map and everything, and bring in the tokens of the monsters. But we're playing in a live setting and they're rolling dice and whatnot. So this is a Fantasy Ground map. As I said, I use this on this screen that I have on my tabletop. And we got a group of 4 characters. They're taking this cart. They're going through this Badland area. And this Badlands is these mesas up here, really high, 50 feet above them. And this road is winding its way through. And as the players turn this corner, they see a pile of bodies. And it's kind of in this shrubbery. One of the players, who's a half-orc, has this Warcraft, a lore thing on war. And he's like, were these bodies that look like they just fell over in this area this close together, or do they appear to be piled up there? He doesn't do well on this check at all, and he can't tell. So the players decide to move forward. So I'm just going to select this whole group, and I'm going to move these guys up in here. And we'll just kind of put them, again, this would be, and they get to about here. Move that like that. We'll say like that. Let's just say it's like that. And they go in, and they're looking at this pile. And at that moment, when they get in here, we have suddenly 3 giant insects that they identify as cockroaches, which emerge. They've been feeding on this thing, and they proceed to come forward, and the players, have a battle here. So they're going along, and they're fighting, and we have, it's a fairly moving around here and doing stuff. So they're killing these things off one by one, right? The battle's going well. They took a little damage, but they're destroying them. Just as this last one is just dying, the orc that was originally looking at this looks at these guys and says, wait a second. Those guys have spikes in them, right? That are pinning them to this spot. And at that moment, they look up and they see a manticore. The manticore is hovering up here. And it was the players' activities that created the parameters of this encounter. They had created the environment where the bounty hunters went into this area. They were unable to defend themselves. A manticore saw them, killed a whole bunch, piled them up, and was taking them one at a time back to its lair. And it came back at this moment and saw them trying to steal its kill. And its activities were based on now, they are there, they have this cart, and, it doesn't like it. And it uses an action here to go this, and it begins pelting them with its spikes. Now, as it turns out, this is not the greatest group for fighting from ranged combat. So it begins to use this volley effect. The volley effect means it can spend 2 spikes as a single strike, and if it hits, the target is pinned in place, rendering it immobilized. You need a DC 23 athletics check. And so you waste actions trying to get yourself free, and it can continue to pin you. Now, notice this no more than 12 spikes in 24 hours. Since it had had this battle, it had already used 6 spikes to kill the bounty hunters. Very important. So it begins to use this volley effect to pin the player, immobilize them, and taking it out. And they're not doing any damage. They're continuing, it has an AC of 23, hard for them to hit. It's looking really bad. The thing is, in order to kill off these humans over here, this pile of humans had to use 6 spikes. It could only use 12 a day. So once it uses those spikes, it decides, what do I want to do? If I haven't killed anyone, do I fly off? Well, here's the thing. There's this cart over here. And the manticore thinks, I'm going to lose my kill here. These guys, if I run off, I'm going to lose this. And so I decide, based on the activities of the players, that the manticore comes in and engages them. And at that point, the strength of the players is enough to dispatch. It was still close. Believe me, they were sweating bullets. They killed that guy quickly, and they finally managed to kill the manticore. That battle, all the aspects of it were determined by activities of the players. And, when upcoming in my podcast with Daniel Norton, I'm not sure when it's going to go. We do these way in advance. We talk about battle tactics. We talk about the manticore, what they should do, how they should react. And one of the things I'll say is, if the battle's going poorly, the manticore will fly away. But the 2 elements here are the fact that the manticore sees that cart. First of all, it has a huge bounty. This is going to feed it. Let's say it's got, some manticore cubs up there. I don't know. This manticore, which again, I looked into the rule book and saw that it does have intelligence. It speaks common. It's not the smartest. It saw that cart and thought, they are going to be taking away my my prey. And animals are very, especially an animal that can speak a language, they're very possessive of that prey. It would have flown off, except for the fighter in the group scored a tremendous hit, which again is part of the party's effect on the situation. It's also pinning guys with these spikes. They don't look like they're not doing well. They're it had no hits on it until it landed. So it makes the mistake, as it were, of landing to fight them. Then once it landed and got there, it got in trouble very quickly. And they managed. They were in trouble too. There were a lot of hit points. And all these circumstances, the fact that it had this bounty of these idiots that were so easy to kill was because of the players' activities. The fact that there was a cart there that made you think, hey, they're gonna take my kill away, was based on their activities of finding this priestess of Desna and taking her down to the Desna temple. Everything is shaped. Everything is interrelated. That's what you want to do to make your world seem dynamic, right? I always talk about this when I talk about dungeons and the Mad Mage thing. Is it dynamic? Does it seem like events are unfolding and interacting? The participants in those are the major characters. Are they interacting, and are things changing because of those interactions? It's not just, the manticore flies, shoots at you, do you kill it or not? The circumstances of that encounter are influenced by these activities of the players. So that's what you always want to think about when you're, you have, this is a random encounter. I've got some set creatures that live there, because now there's going to be, by the way, a power vacuum. The Manticore is dead, right? Something else will move in, because, this road is just a food source. But a random encounter and then adapting it on the fly, thinking about it, thinking about what's going on here. What can I do to make this seem realistic? Because again, it's a game. The players are the protagonists. You don't think about things. Yes, that happened off screen, the battle with the would-be bounty hunters, but the results of that battle happen right in front of the players. They affect the encounter, and that's what you want to go for. And again, a shout out to my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate you guys helping me to create content for this channel. Coming up this week, I've got another map, another video. It's going to be Swamp. And again, thank you for watching. If you like my channel, please subscribe, like the video. I'd love to hear comments in terms of you guys thinking about adapting your encounters or, having them reflect the activities of the players. Most importantly, keep playing an RPG game, whichever one you choose. Tell somebody else about it.